And one thing that was really important that the UN report did was talk about the individual stories. And when you read these stories, it's as clear as day, but these are war crimes, to be very blatant. There's one 16-year-old kid handing out sandwiches to demonstrators who were shot in the head. 14-year-old girl went up and just holding a flag, executed immediately. Another kid hiding behind a bin, 11 years old, hiding, shot. As he laid on the ground, bleeding out, he was shot and finished off. So these are the stories that you see and that you familiarize yourself with, and it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. But through hundreds of hours of footage, I didn't see one weapon. I didn't see one militant. And that's literally what the narrative is, that Hamas is engineering these protests and that there's all these militants coming, and you see all the Hasbro propaganda that Israel releases of the cartoons. They don't really have anything else other than cartoons, but they show this is what Hamas brings to a protest, and it's all these guys with guns, and it's like, actually that's not what's happening. Even if it were what was happening, that's actually legal under a UN resolution in 1978 that actually gives Palestinians who are besieged or occupied illegally the right for resistance, the right to have self-defense, particularly armed struggle. That is under international law. So keep that in mind. So, it's like even that narrative doesn't fly, right? When you realize that, hey, actually that's legal. But that's not what's happened. There's no armed battle. There's no militants. This was a plethora of, they always paint Gaza as this monolithic entity that's a dictatorship of Hamas. There's a multitude of political factions. There's people who are more conservative than Hamas. There's the PFLP, the Communist Party, and all of them participated. And it was a very diverse action. Artists, scholars, intellectuals, poets like Ahmed. They all were a part of this beautiful action that's still ongoing. So the footage was incredible, because not only did you not see weapons and no militants, you saw hundreds, thousands of just young people, women, these powerful women who are out there leading these actions, having these contingents of just women of all ages, of all stripes, teenagers, the slingshots, and they're always going to use that rationale that everything's Hamas and therefore everything they do to Palestinians is justified. And let's dig into that claim really quick. Let's just say that it was Hamas, right? And that Hamas is really this dictatorship and blah blah blah. And their whole talking point is that Hamas wants to kill all the Jews and Hamas is going to commit a genocide. That's basically what their entire purpose of besieging Gaza, right? That if they allow Palestinians to have equal rights, Palestinians are going to come genocide the Jews. What's interesting to commit a genocide based on a non-existent threat about something happening in the future, right? Which is absurd. And they always use this kind of rationale of, oh, Hamas's charter, Hamas's charter, Hamas's charter. What is Hamas's charter? I actually looked at it, and it doesn't say that at all. In fact, Hamas's charter actually says, at this point, they will accept a two-state solution. They actually not only denounce anti-Semitism, they specifically talk about their struggle as being against political Zionism. And I wanted to read just two quotes from this charter because I found it really instructive.